With the help of some unexpected allies, Ronan faces off against his greatest foe, a twisted Jedi known as the Grand Master who is bent on revenge. What did you feel, I guess, one, about this being a sequel, and also about it being just as its standalone story?
I liked this one a lot, maybe almost as much as the original. I think this one doesn't have the benefit of being the first or the most novel because it is a sequel, but I still think it's told just as well as the first Ronin story is. I want more. Like, it seemed to throw a lot at me, and I was like, okay, I need this to either slow down and explain some stuff, or maybe cut some stuff out of this, because it felt like there was maybe too much in here and not enough of it got the time it needed to be explored, specifically with the Ronin's philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to know more about that, and I really want to know more about like what his relationship to the Sith is, and then what the relationship with the whole galaxy is with the Jedi. I thought those were really cool things, and this world is really interesting within Star Wars, so I wanted to know more about this interpretation. So maybe that'll be something I should maybe read the novel. Maybe they'll explain more there, but I didn't hate this one. I think it needed some space, though, in order to get some of its ideas out there. But what did you think?
Yeah. All in all, I did like it. One thing I was pleasantly surprised by in our Visions Season 1 recap, we were talking, or I was talking about it anyway, where I like it. I like the style of it, but I wasn't sure if I could take more of the style of it because it's very specific and grainy and kind of scratchy. I watched this one and I had no issue. It's like, okay, I probably could do like an hour long. If the story's right, I could do an hour long in this visual medium. They punched up their use of color a little bit, which I thought was a good thing. It did feel longer than the first, but the runtime was probably within a couple minutes. Yeah. And it's probably what you were saying, where they were seeding so many things. And I think that's part of the problem now with it being a sequel, is that it kind of opens up to the studios. These don't necessarily have to be one-offs, especially with the Ninth Jedi story getting a series. Now it seems like a lot of these creators are gunning for a series where they're, look, there's a pre-story and there's a sequel we could do to it, and we have this world and we have these characters, and people are going to demand answers like, give us a season. And I think that's, for the right stories, I'm all for it. It's more Star Wars, great. But I think it's a slippery slope when it's like the directive should be make one cool thing first.
Yeah. And I think this short has a lot of really cool things.
For sure.
The bar that are attached to the two AT-ATs.
Yeah, that was my first note. That was a cool use of them. And then the fact that they weren't like decommissioned, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love sort of again, like we talked about with the first and second seasons, it seems like the best shorts have that kit bashed element to them, where they're taking elements from Star Wars and repurposing them to tell a new story, and keeping a good balance between the medium that they're being told in, the origin of the culture that are telling the stories, and then Star Wars itself. So I feel like this short does a good job blending all of those things together, which going forward, I will not say the same about every short in this season. But this one, I think, does a good job. Also, I love the Ewok scuba warriors. That was awesome.
The use of Ewoks, cool. I thought was interesting. I guess in this season, and maybe it was in the other seasons too, but in this season they did have some parameters. And one was you can't have just new animals; they have to be alien or some weird thing like that. I was watching a Star Wars Meg video all about it before I came on here, so it's like third-hand information now. But I thought that made sense. The thing that bothered me about this one, because overall I liked it, I would say like a solid 7 out of 10. The villain was kind of the good guy, but also the villain. Like, it was a Jedi. The Jedi are the good guys, but in this story, the Jedi's not the good guy. Stop.
Yeah, that was the thing I was trying to figure out, because it seemed like he was a Jedi, and I was like, okay, so in this universe, are the Jedi bad? Because they're like crusaders or something like that, who are, colonizing and taking over, and maybe committing some kind of like war crimes on every planet or something like that. I don't know. But then at some point, there's a line towards the end that made me think that this is some kind of rogue Jedi. The Ronin says something along the lines of him abandoning some way of the Jedi or something like that. And then Yeah, I don't know. I was very
Yeah.
curious about like what that was about, if the Jedi were good or bad, because it seems like the Sith are also bad. So it's like I don't know if it's as clear cut in this universe or what. I'm sort of was unsure about that.
Yeah, and then play with the lore like that, I'm kind of like, okay, a little back and forth on. To me, there's certain elements, like when you're telling a Star Wars story, the light side is good, the dark side is bad. Like you could tell a story from Darth Maul's point of view and have it be really cool and interesting, and even feel for the character as a person. But the dark side's never the good guy, so that did bother me a little bit, even though they're not so bound to the lore. I just found it kind of muddy more than anything. Like the blue lightsaber, him having a red lightsaber and being a former Sith, I have no problem with, because just because someone falls to the dark side doesn't mean they're going to fall in line with all the doctrine and follow the master apprentice thing. Like they don't have to care about that.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit muddy for me. And also the fact that the good guy and the bad guy, Ronin and the Jedi, were identical. I'm like, oh, is this the whole thing of like a Jedi, like Yoda fights his darker self, or that happens in the second to last one of this, where the Jedi character is fighting their inner darkness, metaphorically, but they bring it up as an avatar. Is that what's going on, but just in reverse? But it wasn't. So I wasn't really sure what was going on there.
And there was some symbology there for sure. And they wanted you to make connections like that because of the Jedi wearing pretty much, on like his damaged part of his face, like a fake smile, but it makes him look like the Ronin as well, because the Ronin has that slash across his face.
Yeah.
So there is this like dark mirror version of the Ronin. So that's where I am sort of like, this isn't a Jedi. This is someone who's abandoned the Jedi's ways, kind of like how the Ronin was a Sith, but has since abandoned the Sith's ways, and is maybe more like, and they make a comment about how the Ronin at this point is more like a Jedi than this Jedi is. So it's like, that's sort of why I take it as, I kind of took it as he's not actually a Jedi, but I'm still not 100% on that. I don't know.
Yeah. And I just said this one, I'd give a solid 7 out of 10. That is until they blatantly say that being in balance is an equal amount of light and dark. And it was just like, no, stop it. I know these don't have to be stuck to the actual canon lore, but again, the foundations of it cannot be changed, especially this one, because it's the most misunderstood. There's people who liked Star Wars since it came out in 1977 who still don't understand balance in the Force. And for them to say it, it's just going to validate the wrong information. And it's not even like, this is my opinion, you have to agree with me. That's literally, that's not what it means. So that kind of drove me crazy.
At least this one, though, again, it's Vision, so everybody knows it's not canon, and you can't really use it as a reference point, I guess, if you're talking about the larger Star Wars universe. So there's that comfort.
You're not supposed to, but people are going to. I guarantee it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So that was the thing I saw the article about, and Star Wars Meg even brought it up. And she didn't even bring it up as negative as I did. She just kind of brought it up as like, oh, that's an interesting thing. But to me, even if the writers, we talk to the writers of this episode and they say, oh, well, Visions isn't canon. It's not strictly the lore, so we could do what we want. That to me is still a bridge too far, just because it's so fundamental and so misunderstood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's my soapbox for the week, so I won't go on about it for an hour.
It wouldn't be an episode of Review Harvest if that soapbox wasn't there.
Exactly. As soon as that came up, I'm like, I'm going to have to bring it up again.
Yeah. No, what's funny is I've been thinking more about like not trying to interpret what you'd think about it just from the artistic standpoint, because that's what you've been bumping up against the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I bumped up against it a lot less in this season.
Yeah, I didn't think about the Gray Jedi stuff, so that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. That bothered me more than any of the art this season.
Okay. But yeah, no, overall, I liked this one a lot. I think also a big part of it is, will I want to come back and rewatch a short in any of this season? And this one, yeah, I'd come back and I'd rewatch this one.
That's a good point, because even with that thing that really just rubs me the wrong way, if there's Vision season 4 and there's another duel, I'm watching it. So if you're getting value or entertainment out of any of my transmissions, it would mean a lot if you would join the Remnant and subscribe. Season 3, episode 3, The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope. I would say this was probably the most anticipated, at least for you and I, if I could speak for you on that.
Yeah.
Pursued by Jedi hunters and blasted adrift into space, Kara encounters a seemingly abandoned ship tended by a mysterious droid. I thought this dropped the ball on everything that made The Ninth Jedi cool.
Yep, I agree. I was so disappointed in this one. I think this was the most anticipated for this one. Was not expecting to like the follow-up to Ronin and The Village Bride more than this one, because I love The Ninth Jedi so much. This one, again, it wasn't awful, but the quality of animation just was going up and down the whole time. The CGI,
yeah, the space battle was fantastic. It started strong. Like I was like, okay, I'm in it. Like I'm gonna like something that's anime. I'm here.
Yeah, I liked that opening. That opening fight was really good, and I was still iffy on the CGI ships. But that was in the first one. I was like, okay, if they do something interesting with the CGI, that's fine. But then when she got onto the sort of floating cathedral, it was switching back and forth between 2D animation and also like rotoscoped 3D animation. And then it was just all over the place there. I like a lot of the concepts. I love the idea of like an old Jedi ship being a cathedral in space. Like I love that idea. And I love the idea of like coming up upon something ancient that is sort of fills out the world a little bit about like what the Jedi, what was their presence like before the current war between the Sith and the Jedi. That was cool. The robot annoyed the hell out of me. I love his design, but he's so annoying.
Yeah.
And the lightsaber fight was so weak. Yeah, it was. And I'm like, I want more of this world, but thought out and planned out better. Like this felt so slapped on, like slapped together.
And we had talked about that in season 1 where we're like, we love everything they did with the world building. We liked their version of Kyber lore. We liked their version of the Jedi and Sith dynamic and the battle. We wanted more information. And we even talked about like when this season comes out, because this short, if people don't know, is getting a full season. When this season comes out, can they sustain it? Yeah. And already with an extra 15 minutes of animation, they cannot sustain it.
Which makes me so much less excited for the series, because I'm like, this isn't a good, like, even if this is, a lot of people are saying this feels like filler or like a quick segue between what's going to happen in the next season. If the season's going to be more about rescuing the girl's dad, this feels very much like a filler episode in that saga, but that's not a good way to like get people on board.
I think that's a desperate attempt at justification as to why something you were excited for fell short.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, so that doesn't bode well for the rest of the series if it's just going to be more of this. And
because they also abandoned their own lore. Like the Kyber lore was cool in that, the sabers perform differently based on who's wielding them, based on your connection to the Force, and her blade was kind of transparent. And at first when she turned it on and it was like a solid, good blade, I was like, oh, she's learned a lot in the meantime, but she didn't learn anything because she had to learn it all from the droid, which I also don't really like people learning the Force from a droid, with the exception of Hu Yang, who's been around the Jedi for thousands of years, because it's like, you don't feel the Force. You're not tapped into it. You can't tell me about this thing. Like intellectually, I guess you can recite things, but so she didn't really have any of that growth, and that could have gone a long way if we're going to focus on just her and not all the other characters.
Yeah. And I feel like the droid was supposed to be sort of like a Hu Yang, and I can't remember the name of the droid in Jedi Survivor, but this sort of like ancient, like keeper of knowledge from a past time of the Jedi.
Yeah, he was whatever the Jedi Grandmaster that was in the back of the tank there. It was like his butler. So yeah, I get it, but I mean, if that was the only thing wrong with this, it wouldn't have brushed up against me at all. But it was just like another notch or whatever.
But yeah, so like I agree with you for another reason that I don't like the droid, just because I don't want to hear the droid talk. That's it. Like I just don't. I love the design, I love the idea behind it, but the droid, it was cute at first, the talking in third person, but then it just kept talking, and it was like, okay, now we can shut up now. I didn't understand the girl's conflict where she was like, I'm not strong enough and stuff. And I'm like, you just lifted this huge statue and you survived in open space. This whole like, I'm not strong enough thing doesn't make any sense because you just kicked everybody's asses also in the previous short as well. So it's like, I feel like just trying to make the characters conflict come from I'm not strong enough is out of nowhere, when it's like, no, you just want to rescue your dad. Just be angry that you want to go rescue your dad, and these pirates got in the way of that. So it's sort of annoying that they had to add on this like inadequacy, like delusions of inadequacy, you know.
Yeah, like if it
storyline.
started with her being confident and failing, then I could see like, oh, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I have so much to learn. But for her to like succeed, I'm not strong enough. It's like, what?
Yeah, I was so confused by that. And but again, like, that's all the stuff I hate. I really love the design of the pirates. They're cool looking. I'd love to see more of them. I love, again, I love the idea of like a cathedral in space. That's really cool. Kind of feels like Jedi Survivor in a lot of ways, which I love. So if they just, like, the design's good, the animation and script just suck so hard. It's sort of disappointing.
Yeah. I think part of the disappointment is that the first one was it was probably the best one of the first season.
It was, yeah.
To some people, probably the best overall, the best of Visions. And I would have to watch them all again to like really do a ranking, but there's a good argument to make for that. So to have the sequel fall so flat, especially knowing that there's a full season coming, it's like, well, is this season going to be more of episode 1 or is it going to be more of episode 2? Because it's more of episode 2, then it's another like 4 episodes into the Acolyte. I'm like, I have to get through this. I was trying to be optimistic. I was trying to look at the bright side. I don't want to walk into a series with that feeling again.